Welcome to my channel. Today I am going to explain some key points to you for becoming a good tanker in Heroes and Generals game. Please watch the full video to understand all aspects of the tanker gameplay. This video will be divided into parts. The first part will be the things you need to know before entering a battle. And the second part will be on the gameplay aspects of the tanker. So part 1 begins. The first thing you need to understand is that the tanks in this game is not just simply about buying and spawning a tank into battlefield and start killing enemies. Tanks are not the frontline machines to be the spearhead of any fighting force. Tanks are support class vehicles having good firepower and armor. The whole purpose of the tanks are to support the infantry class in the battles. The second point is that your tanker must have a wrench and a weapon. Wrench will help you repair your tank and weapon will help you save yourself from enemies when you are not in your tank. There are two most important badges you have to equip for a tanker. First one is Gunner badge, which enables you to reload your gun faster. Reloading your guns faster than your enemy tanker could save your life in face-to-face fights with other tanks and will give you an upper edge if you have a low-powered tank as compared to your enemy tank. Because you can hit more rounds than your enemy can in the same time. If you have veteran membership, then you can equip second badge. The second best badge your tanker can have is mechanic badge. With it you can repair any vehicle including your tank at faster speed. This is very helpful badge when you require urgent repair of your tank or when your buddy tanker needs repair in the middle of the fight. So now we will move to all different categories of tanks in the game. Currently in the game the tanks are divided into 5 categories. Like light tanks, medium tanks, heavy tanks, medium destroyer tanks, and heavy destroyer tanks. All the different categories of tanks have different advantages over each other, like firepower, mobility, durability and maintenance cost. We all know that the front armor of any tank is the strongest. After it, the sides of any tank is strong and the rear is the weakest part of any armor. The first category is light tanks. Light tanks are the smallest and the fastest tanks in the game. They are very effective against enemy infantry, terrain vehicles and enemy light armor tanks. Light tanks are the cheapest to maintain in all tanks categories and they can be very helpful for your team if used wisely. I mostly play with United States fraction tanks. There are 3 light tanks in the fraction. From beginner round 2A2 tank to M5A1 Stuart to power-hitting M24 Chaffee tank. When I play with the light tanks, I prefer playing with M5A1 Stuart light tank. Because it's the perfect balance between firepower and maintenance cost. The beginner round 2A2 tank is cheapest to maintain, but lacks any serious firepower, and the M24 Chaffee packs a good power-hitting cannon but comes with a heavy maintenance cost as compared to other light tanks. So while you play with any desired fraction, there will be a similar trend in tanks. Some will cost you much but will have good firing power, and some will be cheap to maintain but will be lacking serious firepower. It all depends on your style of play and how you want to affect the battlefield with your tanks. Try to have a balance between everything. The best light armor in all the 3 fractions as per firing power is Luch tank of Germany, M24 Chaffee of the United States and T-70 of the Soviet fraction. You should know all the pros and cons of a tank, and the enemies you are going to face in battlefield before entering a battle. Next point is type of ammunition you use in your tanks. Play with your tanks more and more in battles to unlock the best ammunition. Try to equip with the armor-piercing calibrated rounds for getting best penetrating values against enemy vehicles and tanks. Unlock high explosives rounds also. They are the best and most effective rounds for killing enemy infantries. Light tanks also have the weakest armor of all the other category tanks, so try keep it in such a place that it's difficult to ambush and flank your tank. The second category of tanks is medium armor tanks. These tanks are the most balanced tanks in the game, having a good firing power and having a good durability. But the mobility of these tanks are less as compared to light tanks because with more firepower and armor comes more weight, so it's difficult for it to move quickly like light tanks. Medium armor will cost you more to purchase than light tanks, and the maintenance cost of these tanks are also quite high to those of light tanks. So again, choose best suited tank for you as per your playing style and mindset. The best medium armor in all the three fractions as per firing power is Panther tank of Germany, Sherman of United States, and T-34 of the Soviet fraction. Not to forget that these tanks will be the one with most high maintenance cost in respect to the other tanks in their fractions in their category of medium armor. Don't forget to equip these medium armors with APCR and high explosive rounds. There is one more thing to understand, that is, that the effectiveness of the tanks will also be increasing with the increase in the size of tank's cannon, such that the more big the cannon of the tank means it will be having more armor penetrating capability. Its high explosive rounds also will be having bigger damage area and will be more lethal than light tanks. With this we will now move to the most powerful category of the tanks, that is heavy tanks. All tanks in this category carries a seriously heavy firing power, or we can say the most powerful tanks in the game, but at the cost of low maneuverability and very high maintenance cost. You need to play a lot before unlocking heavy armor, and these tanks also costs very high. These tanks are the very slow tanks and difficult to retrieve due to their heavy sizes. So always have a plan in your mind of how you are going to play with these tanks before spawning them in the battlefield. I will suggest that don't spawn these tanks if you don't have a repair buddy with you to repair your tank in conflict, and try to have an infantry guy with you who can eliminate any incoming anti-tank Rambos. These tanks are great against every kind of enemy tanks, vehicles and infantry. The next tank category is the medium tank destroyers and heavy tank destroyers category. Each fraction has their own unique tanks in this category. Like United States have fast-moving tanks like Hellcat, M10 Wolverine and M36 Jackson, but speed of these tanks comes at a cost of weak armor as compared to other fractions destroyers. The Germans have hard-hitting tanks like Stug 3, Hetzer and Jagdpanther, but have less mobility and limited angle of view of the turrets of the tanks. The Soviets also have powerhouse tanks like Su-76, Su-85 and Su-100. Like German tanks, these Soviet destroyers also have less mobility and limited angle of view of the turrets of the tanks. So there is no single best tank in the game. It all depends on your style of play and availability of resources on the fraction. You can choose raw firing powered tanks to fight face to face, or fast moving tanks to flank enemy tanks and hit them in the rear. So this was the end of my first part of the video. In the next video I will try to cover all the gameplay aspects of the tanker. I don't want to make a single messed up video on this topic, because people need to understand the basics of a tanker before playing, and I want to make a descriptive and easy to understand video by anyone new to the game. Leave a thumbs up if you liked the video, and subscribe for more upcoming videos on heroes and generals. Thanks for watching my video.
I just wanna be something, I don't wanna be nothing, living all alone. No, I'm not alright, I'm just barely getting